Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
Mr. Beast got caught with what? I wake up and this is the first thing that I see on TikTok. Do you see my hair? I'm not ready for this. For legal purposes and the fact that I really don't know what's going on, allegedly, the Mr. Beast got caught with child on his stuff. And apparently, allegedly, he may have done some cannibal. What? Now you see, I had seen people talking about Mr. Beast and saying that like he's the Antichrist, and you know, with everything going on in Hollywood, I kind of thought that. I was like, yeah, maybe because he got rich really fast and this and this and that. But you know, allegedly, whatever. I don't know the guy. You know, I can't say for myself that he actually is a bad person. But apparently the FBI done caught him. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mr. Beast challenges are over. Honestly, truly sorry to anybody who's like a super huge Mr. Beast fan. This is why you gotta be careful who you idolize and who you like, because you don't know what people are doing behind closed doors. You really don't.
I just wanted to address this allegation. I got this video and a couple others regarding this exact thing sent to me, and from what I can see online, there's nothing backing up this claim. Mr. Beast supposedly finished his internal investigation into his own company, which is ridiculous that that was allowed to be handled that way, and surprise, surprise, they claim they found no wrongdoing. Did anyone actually expect them to announce they found some illegal activity going on? Of course they're going to find no wrongdoing. They need to be investigated by the feds and not some third-party company that they hired themselves who's going to give them the results that they want because they want to get their business again in the future.
Epstein's Island is far from the only place where this kind of thing happens. You just don't know about it. It all started with whispers in celebrity circles, the kind of rumors that only spread among the ultra-rich. Names dropped here and there, powerful men, respected women, all tied to something darker. Epstein, he was just the tip of the iceberg. They called it the Circuit, an underground network of secret islands, private estates, places where anything could be bought. Politicians, tech moguls, foreign royalty, they were all in on it. Epstein's Island? A playground? Sure. But for those in the know, they were playing a much bigger game. You don't get an invitation to the Circuit. You get pulled in. Trapped, really. It starts with a favor, a deal too good to pass up. Before you know it, you're boarding a jet for a business retreat on some island no one's ever heard of. But once you set foot there, it follows you for life. The worst part? There are still countless places like that, secret forever, where the horrors will continue.
I have such mixed feelings about this particular aspect of the Epstein stuff. I'm sure there are some victims who got wrapped up in something they didn't understand, but it seems like the whole operation was running off of blackmail. So if they have something to blackmail you with, how much of a victim are you really? If the blackmail is so strong they can control you because you're scared of whatever information they have getting out, part of me feels like you deserve what you get to a degree. I don't agree with blackmail, but the stuff they were supposedly being blackmailed for was next level disturbing. How much of a victim are you really if the only reason you're going along with an organization and their practices is because they may release video footage of you partaking in illegal activities with a minor? For those so-called victims, I have no sympathy.
If you know, you know. Why do you think in the recent years all the phones have switched to facial recognition technology? Have you seen this?
Okay, infrared lens on the camera. Boom, there was one.
It's taking pictures.
Two. So
Why do you think it's doing that when the phone is already unlocked? Is it building a more detailed facial profile? Keeping track of facial expressions? Analyzing the eye's point of focus during screen time? Now, why would they need that information?
they're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name. Now the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 950 points. The score in the 700s is considered good. Around the 500 mark is not.
Wait, haven't I seen that somewhere? Black Mirror?
I see there's one standby seat on another plane leaving tonight. You gotta be a 4.2 or over to qualify.
Oh, I'm a 4.2.
I'm afraid you're actually a 4.183.
Science fiction become reality? Is this where we're headed?
The mother in question here was not able to get in, and that's because facial recognition software used by Madison Square Garden Entertainment, which operates this venue, ID'd her as a lawyer for a firm they're currently in litigation with.
When you are out grocery shopping, you may not realize what is watching you.
Some supermarkets are using facial recognition.
It's 1984 and 2024. This is the start to us having the facial recognition social credit score over here. I think the face unlock features and the Instagram filters and all that stuff was all just designed to trick us into giving up our physical appearance to the data hoarders. And you know they're using that collected data for something, or they wouldn't be collecting it in the first place. Think of that one guy's phone taking a photo every 3 seconds. Now imagine everybody's phone is doing that. Now just think of the type of storage facility that they would need, or the storage capacity that they would need to store all of those photos from all of those devices all over the world. There's a lot of money involved in storing that data, and they wouldn't spend all that money if it wasn't going to bring them a huge financial return in the future.
Much of the technology we have today is simple reinventions of old world tech, reinvented to maximize profit. Electric cars, electric buses, and much more was quite the prominent form of transportation. So much so in the 1890s, New York, 75% of all vehicle traffic was made up by electric vehicles. So what happened? The controllers came along and shelved all this technology. Once they figured out just how much profit, just how much dependency we could get from their oil. And now, over 100 years later, that technology just coming back to the mainstream at the expense of the third world countries where the cobalt mines come from. And I'm not saying all these electric vehicles were perfect and didn't come with their own set of flaws. But I believe if technology and innovation was truly left to the hands of us, it would have been in a way better spot. You just look, over 100 years ago, they already had fleets of rechargeable taxis, street cleaners, buses. Boy, were they beautiful and classy looking. Nothing like the cheap plastic cars that we get today. But we are all waking up, and we are seeing that there's a better way. And I believe we'll find that together. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
This is so unexpected, I find it kind of hard to believe. What did they use for battery power back then if they were running around in electric cars? How did they store a charge? Or was it just designed in a completely different way that I don't understand? That's amazing, though, to think that we had that technology all the way back then. But again, it doesn't surprise me to find out that we had more advanced technology that was shelved to increase oil use. I feel like that's the number one reason that stuff gets shelved in this country. They don't want to upset or upend the oil industry. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this type of content, I post a new one just like it every day, Monday through Friday. It'd be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me. Also, don't forget to check out my merch store at www.barry-stepp.com.
Go to China right now, you start talking a little bit about what's called Skynet. And Skynet is this massive surveillance program.
Is it called Skynet?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So in certain places of China right now, if you want to board a metro, you have to run a biometric. They evaluate whether or not you've been talking shit about the government online, and they'll drop your social credit score. If you have a poor social credit score and you want to get into your apartment, it says access denied. They don't even let you into your own home. It's getting really crazy. They have facial recognition cameras in every sidewalk. And what they do is if you jaywalk when the light is red, it'll scan your face and it'll deduct money automatically from your bank account. It gets so crazy that in certain places of Shanghai, you want to walk on the sidewalk, you're only allowed to walk in one direction. If you walk in the opposite direction, they scan your face, deduct money from your bank account. And if you don't have money in your bank account, social credit score gets removed.
I feel like the only thing that keeps me from absolutely panicking about this type of stuff is that I live out in the middle of nowhere in western Kentucky. So I'll see this stuff rolling out in the cities long before it reaches me. So I feel like I have a bit of a buffer in a sense. I'll have time to prepare. Unfortunately, if the World Economic Forum gets their way and the federal government doesn't get put in check soon, this is absolutely going to be implemented over here. And I don't feel like that's fear-mongering to say when the World Economic Forum is constantly praising China and the control that it has over its citizens. And they openly talk about and rave about the possibility of implementing those same technologies in Western civilizations.
Have you ever run away from the cops? Would you like to? If your answer is yes, this is your chance. Sherwood Police is inviting the community for a game of hide and seek where armed officers will try to tag you as you run from them in the dark of night. This unique event is getting a lot of mixed reactions. A lot of people, mostly online, are questioning if the event will truly strengthen the community's trust in their officers. Some say running from police shouldn't be a laughing matter. And there's a lot of concern about officers being in full uniform and armed with real guns.
This just sounds like one of the worst ideas I've ever heard. Why would anyone think this is a good community event? And why in the world would the cops keep their guns on them while they're playing tag with citizens? What if there's a playful tussle and the cops' training kicks in and someone loses their life? This sounds like zero thought was put into this. It's so absurd, it's hilarious. I just hope nobody gets killed doing this.
Have you ever heard of the story of Gilgamesh? The story was written 2000 BC. The story talks about how he was 2/3 God and 1/3 man. The claim was that he was 17 feet tall.
Oh, man.
And he was this brutal king, like a tyrant. But the story goes that he was buried under the Euphrates River.
That's drying up.
Well, here's the thing. In 2003, archaeologist by the name of Jorg Fassbinder, he was in the Mesopotamia area doing like the whole LiDAR thing. And what he said is, I have found the tomb of Gilgamesh.
Oh my gosh.
But it's underground, right? So they have to like dig it up. Guess what happened 1 month later?
Earthquake.
The U.S. invades Iraq.
Oh my gosh!
No way.
This is where it gets crazy.
Yeah.
All the archaeological sites were then stopped in Iraq, so stop digging. You're out of here. And the U.S. military set up an encampment around the tomb site. But the locals around this encampment reported that the U.S. military were digging at night, taking things out of the ground and putting them onto trucks and driving them off.
We're villains.
We are Dr. Evil.
Is that not? I mean,
that's crazy. Where'd you learn this?
A bunch of.
This information is not suitable for the viewing public. The government is here to protect you.
If that doesn't sound suspicious, you'll let anything slip past you. The government just so happens to invade, causing all archaeological digs to halt. And then they set up a base around the dig site and start collecting artifacts. This just sounds like the new version of a tale I've heard 100 times. The U.S. government just swooping in when something important is discovered and just sweeping it all under the rug. I honestly think it's one of the most frustrating aspects of our government. It's just how quick they are to just cover something up and decide that it's in the public's best interest to be kept in the dark. I'm tired of the federal government handling us with kids' gloves. I want to know the truth about this stuff.
Have you heard about the idea of climate lockdowns? Stick around to see how this concept could change daily life and if it's really about the environment or something far bigger. As cities worldwide face increasing climate threats, some leaders have floated the concept of climate lockdowns, temporary restrictions on travel, energy use, and production to reduce environmental impact during crises. While advocates say it could prevent further climate disasters, critics worry it might be a strategy for broad, long-term control over individual behavior. Reports suggest that emergency climate measures could include limiting driving days, restricting electricity use, and even imposing travel quotas. Imagine a future where carbon allowances dictate not only the energy you use, but the distances you can travel. Some argue that these restrictions, once implemented, could become permanent, shifting from emergency measures to regular policies enforced in the name of environmental responsibility. Is this a logical response to climate change, or could it set a dangerous precedent for government control? What do you think?
The only silver lining on this one is that I feel like a lot of people are waking up to the lies and the manipulations of the climate change agenda. People just aren't buying it anymore. If they wanted to put us in lockdowns over climate change, I really feel like they missed their shot. They should have done that several years ago when the world was still in panic mode over global warming. Now people are so tired of having this stuff shoved down their throat and being preached to by celebrities with their private jets. It's just not convincing anyone anymore. I don't think they'll ever convince enough people to go along with it. I think we're at the point now that people would push back against it if they tried this.
How many members are part of your church?
In South Africa at the moment, there's just over 12,000 Satanists. And then suddenly, yeah, he was there, like in front of my face.
Who was there?
Jesus. And I've never believed in Christ up to that point. And being extremely scientifically minded and an atheist and all those things, I said no. Like, this is either a demon playing a trick with me, or I am hallucinating. I said to him, I'm scared. And he flooded me with love, with so much love. And I said to him, but I don't believe it. I can't believe this. Because I've looked for this my whole life. I said, well, no, you never opened yourself up for it. And I realized, yes, that was the first time I've opened myself up that much to the spiritual world. And I said to him, but what about like God? He said, if you want to talk to God, we can do it.
I just thought this was interesting to see. That guy goes from a proud member of the Satanic Church to a believer in Jesus over a singular moment in time. Granted, he claims to have seen Jesus in that moment, so I can understand the impact that it must have had on him. But I thought this was interesting to see somebody who takes pride in the evil they're associated with just turn on a dime and accept Jesus because they felt like they were overcome with his love. It's amazing how our lives can change in a moment just like that.
Stitch this with a fact so ridiculous you didn't believe it until you looked it up yourself.
That in 1903, John D. Rockefeller donated $129 million to create the General Education Fund, which is basically our modern-day education system. And he was one of the most influential people at that time that basically whatever he said goes. And one of his most famous quotes was, "We don't want a nation of thinkers, we want a nation of workers." The traditional education system was created to hold you down, to hold you back, to keep you docile, and to prevent you from thinking. They want to keep you good little puppets. And it's not until you fully understand that you can break free from that. And once you break free from that, a whole new world is opened up to you. And my friend, the sky is the limit. So don't be hard on your kids when they're having a hard time in school. It's not them, it's the system. Encourage them to read books and to study history. Because if you don't know our history, you'll believe anything they want to teach us in the future.
I feel like most people are waking up to this. We've seen a huge shift in the number of people homeschooling their kids. I personally know over a dozen people right now that are homeschooling their kids to avoid the public school system. If I didn't have so much faith in my kids and their ability to distinguish between right and wrong, they wouldn't be in the public school system either. But they all want to go for the social benefits. Fortunately, I live in a rural area. We have a very small population, so a lot of the craziness that's been affecting the public schools these recent years has not made its way here yet. But I'm keeping my eye out for it.
Everybody's lying to you. Typical pediatrician's office makes about 50% of its funding comes from vaccines. And today, every kid goes to the doctor at least 10 times to get their vaccines. And that foot traffic in and out of the office is a major part of the business plan for the pediatrician office. And they're also then rewarded by Blue Cross Blue Shield, which has a reward schedule for pediatricians who vaccinate 80 or 85% of the kids in their office, get these giant bonuses, hundreds of thousands of dollars that they make. And that's why they throw you out of the office if you fight back.
I have a daughter. She was vaccinated with all the usual bullshit vaccines. And I have a second one on the way, and I'm not sure what should I do. How do we know they keep our children healthy instead of getting them more sick? Of course, vaccines saved millions and hundreds of millions of lives in the past. But is it still the case today in the West?
And this is why I think we need someone like RFK Jr. to step in and start regulating this stuff. And get us some unbiased studies that show us the potential harms or risks with injecting our kids with this stuff. We aren't asking for much. Just tell us what we're subjecting our children to so we can make informed decisions as parents. And stop treating us like lunatics when we ask basic questions about something that plays such a huge role in our children's health care.
The CIA can hack into your car and drive it remotely if they wanted to, making for nearly undetectable accidents. This fact was in one of the many leaked CIA documents from the Vault 7 release published by the infamous WikiLeaks back in 2017. And in case you missed those or just weren't paying attention when it happened, these are some of the most insane leaks from those documents that were downplayed by the media, so no one talked about them. Now, these have all been made public and the information is out there for anyone to find, so calm down there, Mr. FBI guy, it's just journalism. The FBI intentionally distributes viruses and keyloggers that all mainstream antivirus software are legally not allowed to detect. They didn't break encryption, they just bypassed it. The CIA and MI5, British intelligence, have tools that can turn any smart device like your phone, TVs, Amazon Alexas into listening devices at any time and spy on you. Then, according to these documents, the CIA lost control of these powerful malware and spying tools when they got hacked. Meaning these tools are now in the hands of anonymous hackers that can do anything they want with it. And oh, it just keeps getting worse from here. Note, these were all once highly classified documents, but have since been publicly disclosed by Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, which he founded in 2006 as a website for whistleblowers which allowed people to anonymously upload sensitive documents documents that they believe the world should know about. It really kicked off in 2010 when videos of drone attacks on innocent Iraqi citizens were leaked onto the site, which the Pentagon really didn't like. After which, Assange was persecuted by the FBI for over a decade, so you know these leaks really were the real deal. He spent 7 years hiding at the Ecuadorian embassy in London, who granted him political asylum, basically meaning as long as he stays inside the building, the police can't arrest him. He continued to run WikiLeaks from the embassy from 2012 to 2019, allowing anonymous whistleblowers to drop some bombshell classified docs that I'm gonna go over with you. Eventually, the embassy got tired of him and kicked him out, where he was thrown into prison by the UK police for the past 5 years. While he was in jail, the US desperately tried to extradite him to silence him for good with a life sentence or who knows what else. People started to get worried that he might, you know, have an accident while in jail, so a Russian artist took things into his own hands and did just the craziest thing ever. This guy threatened to destroy $50 million worth of precious art from world-famous artists like Picasso by building a custom safe filled with all this art, surrounded by barrels of acid and a countdown timer that would destroy all the art unless someone confirmed that Assange is alive every 24 hours, to ensure that, you know, he doesn't have this accident and disappears while in prison. This project was called Dead Man's Switch, and I guess it surprisingly actually kind of worked, because just recently, in June 2024 actually, Julian Assange was finally released under a plea deal with the US Justice Department. He technically pleaded guilty to a single count of violating the US Espionage Act, but the 62 months he spent in the UK prison counted as his time served. So he's a free man and returned back to his homeland of Australia for the first time in over a decade in late June 2024. His site WikiLeaks is still live, but hasn't published anything in quite a while for now, and it's still not clear whether Assange will continue this work, but I'm guessing he's gonna lay low for a while. Among the leaked documents dropped during the site's glory years were that the NSA has forced AMD, Intel, and other chip makers to backdoor their CPUs to allow them to access your computer even if it's turned off, as long as it has access to electricity. So if your laptop or phone battery isn't dead or your PC is just plugged into the wall, the government's got an all-access pass to everything on your device. On top of that, American-made electronics transmit radio frequencies which allow the FBI and NSA to access your computer even if it's not connected to the internet. Basically, you're never safe. If you are a person of interest, the NSA is intercepting your mail, opening it up, and installing bugs on any electronics you order from the internet, like phones, TVs, even microwaves, and smart fridges. And there are no strict requirements on being a person of interest. If they just don't like you or say the videos you post online, you're a POI. The NSA has already broken Tor networks and can identify and attack you if you use the super anonymous Tor browser commonly used to browse the dark web. ISP companies like Verizon, AT&T, and Comcast are in on it too. The CIA can remotely infect your car's control systems as long as it has an internet connection like most modern vehicles do, which would allow them to take over your car and do anything they want with it, like drive it and crash it into a concrete wall, hypothetically speaking. The CIA also developed malware known as Weeping Angel, which infects TVs, putting them in a fake off mode. Even though it appears to be turned off, the TV's mic is still active, allowing conversations to be recorded and sent to the CIA via the internet. And yes, your TV has a mic. They also have access to exclusive bypasses that allows them to collect data from encrypted messaging apps, specifically listing WhatsApp, Telegram, Confide, and Signal, giving them control and access to everything on these apps. Geolocation, audio, text, images, videos, and even covert activation of the camera and mic. Yup, the group chat is compromised and they can see everything in it if they wanted to. Reminder, the leaked documents also stated they've lost control of some of these tools from a hack, so it's not just government agencies using these against you. Okay, that's all for now. I'll let you guys know.
Wow. I'm sure we all assumed that we were under some sort of constant surveillance, but the tools that they've created to spy on us are staggering. I'm glad I haven't been sitting in the living room lately plotting against the government. What's most shocking to me, though, is how many unsolved murders we have. If they can watch you through basically any electronic device, wouldn't they be able to pretty much catch anyone? So this stuff either isn't as prevalent as they want you to believe it is, or the people in charge of it are so incompetent we have nothing to worry about anyways. Either way, I don't think this is something to panic over. Mostly because there's not really anything you can do about it anyways other than ridding yourself of all electronics, and that's not really a reasonable ask. Hopefully a lot of those things are just things they hope to implement, but a lot of it hasn't been implemented yet.
So the global war on farming that I've spoken many times about is still very much alive and kicking. This time I wanted to come to you with an update specifically about what's going on with the UK farmers. Keir Starmer, arguably the worst politician right now, the worst government leader in Europe, has decided to specifically target family farms by introducing a new inheritance tax law, which essentially means that any farmer in the United Kingdom who, when he dies, wants to pass on his farm to his children, like the farm has been passed on to him or to her for probably centuries on end, now won't be able to do that without having his kids pay 20% of inheritance tax on any assets that this farm has or any worth that this farm has that supersedes £1 million. And now, of course, Keir Starmer's government is banking on the fact that you're going to think, oh, but it means that it will only target very rich farmers. Wrong. Anyone who knows any farmers or knows anything about farming in the 21st century knows that farmers aren't, especially family farmers, are not rich people. They are people who work their asses off 24/7 to provide you with food, and that they are not making a whole lot of profit on their work, if they're making any profit at all, but that the only wealth, quote unquote, that they have is actually their land. I'm talking to you right now from my family farm, and their machinery. And with that, you'll easily get to that threshold of £1 million. So most family farms, even the smallest ones, will be affected by this inheritance tax. And now I think inheritance tax in and of itself is a despicable communist ideal. Like, why does the state have any claim to make to your property when you die? Why wouldn't that be, just for your kids? Why wouldn't that just go to your kids? Beats me, but anyway, that's the communist ideal, of course, also of Keir Starmer. And so this new inheritance tax will specifically kill off family farming in the United Kingdom. And I've already seen heartbreaking reports now of a farmer this morning who, upon hearing this news about the inheritance tax, has hung himself. And that's something that sadly I've heard about many times also in the Netherlands, because like I said, this is a global war on farming. This is happening all around the Western world. And the goal is, of course, to kill off family farming, to kill off small businesses like this, so that the government can control the food and control the people. Because what will be left? Family farms like this won't exist anymore on this trajectory, with this trajectory. The only thing that will be left are state-controlled, centralized farms where they can, of course, manipulate your food, control the market, and control you, control what you eat, when you eat. And that's why I really hope that the UK farmers will rise up, just like the Dutch farmers have done, the German farmers have done, and the French, because God knows this fight is far from over.
So well said, and she's 100% right in my eyes. From her theory to her proposed solution, this is one of the few things that really terrify me. If we lose the ability to grow our own food and provide for our own basic needs, it's game over. We just can't let the government take control of that. That would be the beginning of the fall of humanity. Fortunately, we've seen example after example of farmers not putting up with these draconian laws and being very successful in their efforts to fix them. So now any country that tries this will have a population of farmers who have already seen how to handle this when it comes time for their turn, and they know the rest of the world will have their backs. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're almost to 100,000. Don't forget to check out www.barry-stepp.com if you'd like to order yourself a shirt or a hat or a hoodie. And don't forget to post your photo of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. But with all that out of the way, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.